Are you actually so ready?
I got stage fright.
Well, you're here now. Stage fright overcome.
I guess so.
Hi friends, everyone.
We got Nam's in the building.
Nem is here, and Fruity is here, and Kaysh is here.
Kaysh is here. Is Kaysh
Hi!
here? Or is she just not picking up again?
She's not picking up again.
Why is Kaysh like this?
She's horrible. I don't know how much. I don't know how to tell you. Work, Kaysh? Bad girl. Don't hang out with her.
I'll try to avoid it.
I'm the better Kaysh.
Well, she never picks up anyway, so.
Just stop inviting her. Holly just shouldn't have her hanging around, even if she doesn't pick up. Yeah. But yeah, it's Saturday. I keep forgetting that it's Saturday, despite the fact that I know that it's Saturday. So that's fun.
It's actually Sunday. And it has been for 9 minutes.
Okay, listen here. Listen. That doesn't count. It's not real. Gonna do more Siren today. Probably. We'll see how much more Siren we do today. I was talking about it earlier, and I told myself that, hey, if by the end of the weekend I am dreading everything about Siren, maybe we'll stop playing Siren. But now that I've hit go live and I'm here talking to friends, talking to Fruity and them and anyone else who might be lurking, maybe we try a little bit today, and if I still dread everything about Siren, we just stop and move on to something else?
Yeah! So is the primary emotion around Siren just dread now?
Yes!
Oh
yes.
dear.
It's not even anger or frustration, it's just this deep, bottomless dread. Which normally I would be... Go for it.
It tests us spiritually in a different way every time.
Yes. Yes. I didn't think that a game could offer me this many different challenges in a single form. In one single game. But here it is. Here's Siren doing just that. And I need to know how. Not even why, because I don't know that there is a solid answer as to why. I need to know how they managed to do this. How have they managed to break me in so many different ways?
What were they thinking when they made Siren? What did they think they were doing when Siren came out?
I think that they stopped thinking. I think they worked on this for so long and were just so entrenched in everything Siren that they no longer were making a project that they believed in. They were channeling the spirits of Siren, and this is actually the work of a madman.
They had to complete the ritual. They had to complete Siren.
And I'm afraid that I don't have the fortitude to complete Siren.
Oh, imagine on top of all the other bullshit programmers have to deal with. Like every other week, one of you is ritually sacrificed for the elder gods that live in the video game.
Just wow, we really don't pay our devs enough, do we?
I can't believe this. It's slightly worse than usual.
Only slightly, though. There is
At
the
least
promise
it's not
of it
Ubisoft.
stopping. It's
or Activision.
Woof! Or Blizzard? Are we gonna throw them in there?
Activision.
Oh, I guess
right,
they
no,
are the same, aren't
Activision's
they?
Blizzard.
Yeah.
One of them is the other. I can't remember which way around it goes.
Yeah, I don't remember. They're basically the same entity, though. You right. Alright. Think we're ready to do this. I guess I should probably unmute the game so that there is sound.
Makes sense.
Because you don't want to miss the bad giggles, do ya?
I actually love the bad giggles.
I love the bad giggles. Okay. This is, I think, another reason why I don't want to give up on this game is because there's so much cool shit in it, but at the same time, there's so much bad shit in it.
Yeah, when we're complaining about Siren, absolutely 0% of that criticism is on anyone who just worked on the sound.
Sound people knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Sound design, phenomenal. Monster design, real fucking terrifying. Mechanics, I need to talk to. I just want to talk to whoever decided that these mechanics were what they were gonna settle on.
This level's fucking horrifying, by the way.
Yeah, this is not great. I am scared. Nope, that's still the child. Oh god, okay. Well, I can only look around.
I'm pretty sure you can leave the cupboard you're hiding in if you want.
I'm trying?
Maybe you can't?
Oh!
Oh gosh, the context menu.
Oh, I don't like this. Oh, I don't like this.
No, you're the horrible slow
Oh
child.
my god. Okay, I have to find a key?
Please stop shine lights here.
Oh! I saw a foot. I saw a foot.
yeah. That's
By a foot, I mean a hand.
That's the one we were playing as earlier.
That's Tomato.
Yeah.
Tomoko? Tomoko.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been spotted. Oh, no.
Get fucked, Mom.
Ah!
This is real bad.
Ah! Okay. No, don't run into the wall, you idiot! Oh, God, I'm already scared. I know you're here. Oh, okay, so if I just... Okay.
It's this house as well.
Yep.
It's just real bad.
Yep. I have to escape from the abandoned house and acquire the key to the kitchen. In the kitchen. Okay. Where did Mom go? That's
Tomato
what...
is just cleaning the floor out there. I don't know what she's doing actually. Doing something.
Okay, so it's just these three. Is this where the key is? What are you doing?
Praying to a doll's head on a shrine? With a nail in the eye?
Oh yeah, I mean, we know about this shrine. Why are they so wiggly, though?
I don't know.
What are you drawing?
Ah, she's drawing weird symbols on the ground. That's what she's doing.
You're still just wiggling over there. What are you doing? I know where you are. Okay, I'm not gonna leave, but I do need to know where the kitchen is. Kitchen is past Tomoko.
That is a problem.
That is a problem.
How has Tomato?
Oh! Hey! Excuse me. We're just gonna watch to see what everyone does for a minute. Also, rip it and rip it.
I had that one.
Rip it and rip it! Beautiful. Trying to light your cigarette? Is this just what you do now? Where is she going?
Oh.
Upstairs. Oh!
That's fine. It's kind of fine. Maybe fine.
Which one is
It's
the
the
kitchen
door.
one?
The kitchen.
That's a good question.
Guess I thought that was the one that we're looking at.
I hate this.
Please don't. Cam, we don't want to show. We really don't want you to show right now. That's the key. Oh no.
Red padlock?
It's already still on the second floor. Oh, Jesus.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is a problem. This is a problem. This is a problem.
Yeah. Okay, so
Get the key and then go hide back in the
it might be
in the closet.
Yeah.
Okay.
How do we get past?
We
Tomato.
watch to see where she goes because she might go into a room that we don't need to go into.
Yeah, true.
And also, I can figure out where the red padlock is. This is horrible. Child?
I don't like playing as baby.
Neither do I.
Where's Tamon when you need her?
Hey, Tamon. I miss you. Okay, so... Dad? Mother? Child?
Yeah.
That's not a red padlock.
Dad wanders around a whole bunch.
Yeah, he's gonna
Mom
be a problem.
Prays for ages and then goes into the kitchen and starts stabbing like a cutting pot over and over again.
Yeah. She's gotta go try and light her cigarette, though.
Alright, yeah, she's gotta do that first. It's like the... like following the routine that they used to do when there weren't zombies, kind of, but like they don't understand, they're just doing the same actions.
Yeah. Okay, Dad goes into... Oh wait,
Dad's
is Dad the one with the cigarette?
mobile.
Hold on.
Okay, he's in the gun closet.
The gun cabinet. He's gonna light a cigarette.
The gun cupboard, why Gunman lives.
Mom is watching television. She's still doing her thing. He ends up going into the bathroom, right? So...
Yeah.
Or I guess he goes into the toilet.
Goes to toilet.
Parlor, storeroom. Parlor is gun cabinet.
Yeah.
Storeroom is locked by something else. Storage is outside. We can't get there at the moment. This is where we're starting. I wish there was a way for me to look at the top floor. This isn't helpful. Oh, it is! R2.
Okay.
There we go. Boarder's room is where we used to hide Blind Lady. It's the only one upstairs that is unlocked, I think.
Yeah, that one's where the desk drawer that you get the gubbins out of is.
Yeah, yeah.
To get to anywhere else, you have to go through that one room? Alright, it's just if you want to go to the pot, you have to go through the bedroom.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that's where we need to go.
It seems like that'd be the only way out. That'd be on the second floor.
Yeah, well, and it's like I think all of the locks down here, I don't remember any of them being red.
Yeah.
Like he specifically said for the red lock. So, alright. She's going.
There's
Rumi's going upstairs.
Oops, sorry.
No, that's okay. There is no downstairs aside from where we are. There's no like basement or anything like that.
I meant like there's no downstairs room that hasn't already been an objective for us to unlock.
Yeah.
I
that
feel
is
like.
Also correct. Can you go look at those for me? Is it the bedroom? From a distance that kinda looks red. Okay.
Why she's just gonna draw stuff in those two different spots.
That's okay because her back is to the room that we can get into.
Ah, okay, as long as we're not running, we could probably get there without.
Yes.
Annoying everyone. Hey Mom, just gonna take this key.
Oh, I'm scared.
Yeah.
That's the red padlock?
We have the... We have a key to that though, right? So,
I think so, yeah.
I mean, we could go in and bother her if we wanted, but we don't have to.
I'm scared that she's gonna get up real quick.
Yeah.
I think
If
I just
we
want
have
to
a
wait.
key, it's fine.
Yeah. I think I just want to wait for her to go downstairs again.
That's fair.
Honestly, I'm scared, and I think I just want her to leave. Where is this?
I think this is the scariest level.
Yes. Why are you...
like...
Okay. Oh, sorry, I thought he was going upstairs.
This is the one I remembered being like... The reason I could never play the game, even though it was the earlier one in the school. I think it's left more of an impact when I watched the Let's Play afterwards.
This one is horrible.
Yeah, it's real bad.
Like, at least it makes sense kind of where I'm going, and they've given me, like, plenty of opportunities to do things. What are you doing? Oh. This one is tense. This one is scary. I don't hate this one for the reasons that I hate the other ones.
Yeah, this is cool. This is... You're just a baby. You have, like... There's all of the adults have turned into zombies. You have to leave. You can't possibly, like, fight back. You can't really hide or do anything. If you get spotted, you're probably done.
Right?
Like, you're tiny. You can't run very fast. And where are you gonna go? You're in a house.
Escape through the gate. Okay, close. No. Just want to look around real fast. Okay, that's fine. You're not gonna... No clothes? Okay! Okay, now that we're out here... know all those people. It doesn't seem like there's anyone out here. So unless that changes in a cutscene...
Yeah.
I think we're okay to just run for the gates.
Let's hope.
Unless... it's locked. Scared that there's like another objective around here that I need to do. It is locked.
Good time. I kind of have a quick check, I guess. I can check if you want on the guide.
Nah, this one seems manageable for us to have to like play through again, so I'm not too bothered about it. I'm gonna pause for a second to let baby rest.
Oh, baby.
Yeah, I don't have an issue playing through this one again. It was scary, and there didn't seem like there was a lot of opportunity for me to do anything, but there was. This, good level. Get out of there, baby.
Hooray. Mrs.? Don't go off by yourself anymore. No!
Mr. Kato! Whoa!
I thought she got blown to bits.
She got yeeted.
I don't think there'd be enough left of it to be a zombie.
That's fair. What am I doing, game? Am I just running around? Oh! Oh god, she was so much closer. No! Sorry. She was much closer than I thought she would be.
Mr. Cow, please.
Harumi, you should be able to run faster than this. Oh god, I saw her.
She's real winded.
Holy shit.
It's fine. Okay, so if you die, you come back as a zombie 100%. Everyone's infected.
Yes. Correct.
No matter how you die, if you die just a little bit, if you die a whole lot, you're still coming back as a zombie.
You don't get to die, just...
What must it be like to wake up? I don't know what made me do this, but I realize now it's not a bad thing to just swim against the current.
Where are my glasses?
Shiro, what are you doing?
It makes me feel as though I've been reborn, almost.
What's this? Where am I? Oh.
Your savior's awake now. Well, you're on your own.
What?
Please have him.
What is he? Drunk? What was that all about?
Do I have to play as Yoriko?
Horrible.
It is next loop time, though. So that's exciting.
Where are we going? Where are we gonna be? What's...
I don't know. Oh, no. Okay, these are...
These are the same levels as always.
Yeah, you keep offering me the same levels. I guess we'll start with Shiro. I'm gonna choose a different one, though.
Why are you like this, game? Did...
Hey, game?
Game?
We've done the nurse's shoe one. Get me out of here. Okay. What was the button? What was the button? There's the button. There's the hold button.
This just shows you where things happen chronologically and doesn't tell you about missions that you haven't seen, which is important information. If there's a mission that we need to do a thing in that we haven't seen yet, it's kind of... We'd like to know.
Tamlin, do you have...
That Tamlin one is you just do the mission normally, but you need the photo that Yoriko wouldn't pick up.
Right. Fuck. I wonder if she'll do it now?
It's possible.
Where's Akira? And it was...
A second one.
Okay, so it was the one that I was selecting. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't realize.
No,
I
no,
just
no, that's
remembered it
okay.
was second one.
No, that was helpful because I wasn't sure if this was the first or the second one. So, this is great.
Need the awful... If we'll try it once, and if she don't pick the fucking thing up, we'll just go somewhere else. It's fine.
Yes. Yes. Correct.
I don't know why she's not picking it up, but she ain't for some reason.
Because she's the worst. Game?
That's probably why. Siren having trouble today?
I think so.
Is that how it's going to test us today? Technical difficulty.
I cannot believe the shit that this game has put us through. I'm invested though!
Yeah.
Ugh.
So much weird going on.
I just want to understand what's going on, even if it doesn't give me like a clear, concise understanding of anything. I just want to know what's gonna happen. What's happening?
What happened?
Oh, please.
Oh, shoot on Granddad. He's not.
He's nice.
A regular human being. I dropped my school ID somewhere.
Girl, I
and
don't give a
detected what I'm looking for.
shit.
Thank you so much.
Sir. I shot you though!
I thought you gone. Dang. Sorry.
That's okay. Same.
That's a hell of a.
I'd almost categorize that as a holler.
That might have even been a holler.
Game. Oh, wait, it said something about a special place. There was a hint down there.
Oh! That's why it hung, because they were giving us the hint, which means we can do it now? Question mark?
Hopefully. Maybe it's after certain loops that you unlock the hint. Which would make more sense than it keeping track of how many times you've died when it can't even keep track of what items you've picked up.
Yeah, that's true.
Just my 2 cents on the situation. Sounded like you had thoughts about it, though.
Fucking candles.
Same.
I was just like, you can't assume it's gonna be that because there's loads of other things it could be.
Oh, I mean, for sure. Are you...
Like, last time with the scythe in the wall that we hadn't found in that one level, so we couldn't do the thing in the other level.
Yeah. I know we said we were only gonna try this once, but I want
to... sorry. I meant get it to the spot once. Yeah, we got the hint.
Special place. Okay.
We got the hint.
Okay.
You can do this.
Wow. We got this. I just need to be able to get to Yoriko. I need to die or not die.
Go around the back and like shoot the snipers if we're not like worried about doing it quick. We don't need to pay attention to the timeline now. We've done that.
That is
Can't
true.
take that away from us.
This is just the path that I know.
Okay.
I'm familiar with this route. This route. Route or route? What do you say? Oh god.
I say route.
You a route?
Actually, I think I changed randomly.
I also switched between the two.
The only minor problem with this path is that there's a sniper who shoots gun granddad about 80% of the time and shoots him twice about 30% of the time.
Thank goodness. A regular human being. I dropped my security somewhere. I got attacked
No,
by
don't hide! No, don't hide!
Thank you so much.
Very cool.
No hide! Yorko.
That's the man. That's his knee.
Reload. Just right quick. Just take your time with it, buddy. Don't need to rush or anything. We're not in a hurry.
He's 7, eh? He's doing his
Oh god.
best.
Oh god. Yorko, we have to
There's a
move!
sniper over there.
Yorko, we have to
God,
move!
don't you dare stand there and get shot.
I see him. I saw him.
Where does sniper live? Oh, dang. You're good at this.
You just gotta look for the right lumps. Is this?
She says something if you go there, but I think there's a sniper overlooking the hiding point.
Oh, it's up here. Okay, I know where I am. I just went down
Ah, right, yeah.
one level too far.
I understand. She
we
goes,
took
I
out
think
the
we can
sniper."
climb up here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Here we
here.
go.
She didn't fucking try it. You better find that picture. Motherfucker.
You stupid bitch. I hate you so much, but now we found the picture, so everything is
Professor.
fine. Chaman Takeuchi, day 2! Okay, hey.
We needed to come with us now. We gotta go finish the mission, and that's fine, because we've done it a million times. We know exactly what we're doing.
Looks like we can climb our way up here.
We don't want to climb up there, though.
There we go.
Is the thing.
Yeah, there's no reason to climb up there. She just says that as a joke to throw Gun Granddad off.
That's definitely a holler.
That was bad.
It's fine.
Who did that? Who was Honk?
It's just one of the people that we shot earlier.
No, that's fine.
I'll act as decoy, but don't shoot me.
Oh, I'm gonna shoot you. Here. I was really scared that, like, the wall was gonna clip so that I couldn't
Yeah.
shoot him. It's fine, we did it, though.
He was fine because he didn't aim. If he'd have aimed at you, then I'd have been terrified.
Right.
Because you know that they can curve the bullet around the corner, but...
Yeah, it's not good. Yes, I would like to save. Of course I would like to save game. Game! Stage select. It's Tammin time. No, that's...
Yeah, it's
Me too.
the one that's 2 colors, yeah.
Yeah. This is fine.
Where-
We figured it out.
Jericho gets shot. And as far as I know, you just do this normally, but I can check the thing. It's like
Look at
10:30,
this.
10:31.
10:30.
Okay.
I made this mark when I was a child.
Tammin. Don't matter.
Receive it from the injured woman. It reminds you of old memories.
Remember Akira Shimura.
Professor? I've been shot, right?
I'm sure you'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
The amount of fucking times Jericho gets shot by snipers.
I feel a bit strange.
Far
Just to
too
get
many?
shot by a sniper in a cutscene.
Yet not enough. It's ridiculous.
Oh, if you got shot
Am I going to
over
die?
there, I mean, we couldn't. You have to retry that.
Oh,
We
will I
couldn't
Yeah.
possibly
turn
keep
into
going if she
monster
got
as
shot
well?
over there.
Terrible.
Oh,
It's because Tammin needs to remember Akira.
Your body can't take any more red water.
the child. Is it you, Professor?
I think this is
This
what we
is-
needed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna get
It
him.
reminds me of old
here.
memories.
Faded photo of Kayshurrr has been added to the archive. Oh god, okay, I remember this one.
Yeah, we burn the bridge so he can't run over, and then we just chase him down and blast him. There's a couple of Brian with a Y's on this level, I think.
I remember there's a bunch of like wiggly dudes. Pre-Brian.
Hmm.
There is a Brian with a Y on the bridge though. And I think there's one right after him. I think you're right. Okay, I need to take a right immediately, don't I? Because he's on the other side of the bridge?
Let me check if there's any secret objectives.
I hear that, Brian. Ah!
We've got the hose, right? Yeah, we have.
Yes. Yes, we do. Is that it?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's all we need.
Great. Then we are A-okay. Tammin, please look at the gas can.
Damn it, sprinkle can immediate.
That's not sprinkling. And then set fire to gasoline by shooting it, of course.
What else is Tamlin gonna do? It's like the episode of The Simpsons where Homer gets a gun.
Oh no. Oh no.
He just like... It's like the episode of Mr. Bean where he shoots out the lights so he can go to bed.
I'm scared at the fact that Mr. Bean has a gun.
Mr. Bean has a gun.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like that.
Mr. Bean has a revolver in his nightstand, and he will... He's a good shot.
Whoa!
You don't want to mess with Mr. Bean. He'll take you right out. Heard that noise. Fuck. Bastard. Brian.
Akira shot me.
Yeah, sometimes he just runs away. Sometimes he shoots you and then runs away. It's horrible.
I think it checkpoints right after we set fire to the bridge, though, so... Okay.
Yeah, you got
And hopefully, because we got the... Hold on. Because we were
It'd be
given the
weird
thing...
if it didn't count.
Oh my god, is everything... Just
I can
flashing
quickly
again?
look and see what. It is number 70. Yeah, we got it, we got it. It's number 70.
Okay. Okay, I still want to get rid of all the flashing.
Okay. Fair.
Because we've looked at all these, so I don't know why it's still flashing like it's new. Game.
So then you have to remember you had a faded photo of the man. You just didn't know how to remember candles. There's just nothing in the code to remember candles.
So mad about that. So stupid.
Very stupid. In the grand scheme of things, that level's not that hard compared to some of the bullshit it's gonna put you through, but it's a lot to just
Still incredibly rude.
give you one chance at it and then just not tell you that you've locked yourself out of the objective.
Right? Brian, I hear you.
We know you're there, Brian, with a Y.
There's the sirens in the distance again. Up on top of the mountain.
Ah, yeah. Nice.
Stop shooting me!
Fuck off,
Stop
Akira.
shooting me!
Fuck off, Vicky! Why? You even run away. It just shot you.
I'm
So
gonna
you
turn
were
into
supposed
Brian
to
with a
run away.
Y. Oh no! Gotta get rid of Fruity. Fruity's possessed.
Gotta have enough mandibles to make the horrible fly sound.
It's not good! It is distinctly bad, actually.
Hey, Brian, don't mind me.
Just gonna sneak
It's
on
just
by.
me fucking Tamon. I'll
No.
just be duck walking past you if you don't mind.
Stop!
Fucking stop! Oh god, that was Brian. I think that was Brian.
Okay.
I think that was Brian too. Yeah,
It was Brian too, but I wasn't sure if Akira had run away yet.
Yeah.
I am going to become Brian with a Y.
Oh no!
It's not even the Joker anymore. I will become Cicada Man.
She's gonna be a bugman.
Just gonna be over there making these bad sounds constantly. It's gonna be horrible. And then I get upset and I'll go, "Ah!"
I mean, you are already doing that.
Because they're
You've been
here.
saying it for the last 5 minutes. Just going,
Yeah. To be fair, they are making that noise and I am angry at them. I have to speak their
very
language.
Moorish sounds. You can't do them.
They're horrible and I hate them. Brian, fuck off! I've been spotted.
Oh, he must have run. You're out where he normally goes. Yeah. Good run.
Do need to stop. That's not who I want.
That's one of the damn ones. There he is.
Okay, he's at the top of the steps.
Yeah. I think he runs all the way up. And there's one way where you can come out like behind him, I think.
I'm just trying to understand where I am in relation to him. That's all.
A little higher up. I don't know how this man works either. This is strange. Sounds, please. I'm trying my best.
Right. Hey, Akira, can you look around a little more? Okay, so you are... He's at the top. I need to wait until he's, like, turned around.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I see what, yeah. Yeah, and then run in, take the path on the right.
On the right, yeah.
Yeah. You'll go by the little shrine. Yeah, nice. can get around him.
Do you want to wait just a second? Because I think he turns around and he faces kind of where I would come out from.
Yeah. It's very wiggly. We shouldn't have taught this granddad how to quick scar.
Honestly.
Too much power we've given him. Other way. He's behind you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Nope, that's
I
okay.
was very scared. Hey!
Perfect.
Sorry, Granddad.
To be fair, he was already dead.
Is that one? Mr. Shimura? Is that you?
It was. It was him. He looks so sad. Oh.
Got red on him.
Mission 2 has been accomplished, though. What are you gonna show us about Akira? Oh! Oh! Hey, buddy, your plan sort of backfired.
So, nobody can get away.
Jeez.
Yikes. It's gonna be a yikes from me. Okay. Not Shiro. It is a brand new mission from him, though.
Kinda interested to know what weirdness is going on with Shiro.
Yeah, I don't trust him.
Shiro, are you bad?
I think Shiro might be the reason Mina has tit face.
Is it you?
Oh. I think one of the sisters got the other one of the sisters.
You are twins. You even look the same in death. Don't! Stop that! Stop laughing! Stop!
Well. Defeat Mina Onada. Onda. Sorry.
Just
Ow.
leave me alone.
It didn't look like Mina were gonna get out of the situation she was in, to be fair, but
Yeah.
we have confirmation.
Wait, to unlock another stage, pay attention to the lock on a door.
Weird. I like that he's giving us hints now. I like that he's
Yeah.
bothering to actually give us hints now.
Same. Bye. Those are bad sounds! So wait, is this Mina or Risa?
That one's gotta be Mina, right? Risa's already got the... Wait, yeah, is that were the objective? Hmm.
Okay.
It's gotta be Mina. Because Risa's got the bad head.
I thought Mina had the bad head.
Oh, yeah! No, that's
Re-
Risa then. That's the one we played
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
So we have to
Yeah.
beat the bad head one.
Okay, but an umbrella couldn't stop her. So, you know, I don't know that we can kill her.
Softest boy defeater.
No.
Probably not.
Hello?
Is this the level you go in like the fucking bathroom? Is that why it said pay attention to the lock on a door?
I think so.
We'll play it through first. We'll play it through normally before I start wiggling around the guide.
No, but I think you are correct. So I think, because it should be like right above here.
Yeah, if you get the opportunity, just open it.
It is locked. That's the wrong one. It should be this one. Okay, but there were a couple of other doors that needed keys as well.
Yeah.
We might need to revisit this one, but this is the one that we need to do for Tammin's other mission.
Seems like it.
Good to know. Good to know.
That's the tea Tammin gets. Oh,
Yeah. Also, thank you for
Hydrate
the
from now.
hydrate now. I have spilled a little water on myself. Because why would I ever drink properly and not spill everything on me? Mouth that works? Pfft. Unheard of.
Is Mina still in the weird thing in the middle of the courtyard?
Oh, maybe. Or is that where we put her? Oh.
She was already there when Tammin went down there.
Close it. Close the door.
Or is that
You
where we...
idiot.
I understand the
Let's,
question.
Yeah, sorry.
We
when
lure her
was...
there.
Yeah, maybe that's where we, like, hide her. And then that's when Tammin finds her? What time was that for Tammin? Was that day 2?
It would do too, yeah. Tammin's not there for a while.
Okay, yeah, so, like... But this is the one where he deals with Mina. And Shiro's is at midnight. Weird. Okay, well, what's this? Oh, is this a better weapon? No.
No. It's not.
That's not a better weapon.
I think there's a spider person outside who's very annoyed at hearing you running around in there.
There he is.
I guess that because the door wasn't opening, even though I kept saying you were alive.
Yeah, well that's why I closed the door, because I was worried that he
Nice.
was gonna show up, and so I was like, you know what, let's just resolve that issue by closing the door, because these
Be
people,
proactive. Shut the door.
they don't have hands. They have hands, but they don't have hands that work well.
Do you like that this
Is
game
there?
heavily encourages closing the door?
Right?
Why are we dropping a light bulb through a garbage chute? Shiro, buddy, why did you do that?
Why?
Okay, that distracted
Why?
the sniper. Shiro knew it was there because he is a wizard. That was a roof boy, which is horrible. Doing that,
Oh.
Mina, she's going real fast. There's the guy.
He is
Oh, but he's facing the door you're at.
not for long.
Fucking doctor man, who doesn't even have a key to his own building.
This is horrible, and I hate it.
Any keys in here?
I'm scared that Mina's gonna find me. We can deal with her easily. We know this, but I still don't want her to find me. You know, it's key to the basement.
It's just when it's one of those enemies that instead of patrolling just goes to where you are to kill you is kinda...
Well, it looks like she's an idiot and is stuck on
Never
the
mind.
door.
Yeah! This
So
works!
that's cool. Head to the basement. I have to go back upstairs, though.
Fine.
But that's where Mina is. I was looking for... Not Mina. Risa. Whatever. One of the twins.
Yeah, I think that one's rude, so... which is why we didn't get the objective, which is to beat
Yeah.
Mina when we knocked her down. And why she didn't have a squid for a head.
Yeah. Oh. Oh. Oh.
Spider guy.
Can't close that door. That door does not close. Cannot close that door. Door does not
That's it.
close.
You remembered where the basement was. Dang.
Did.
I did not.
I call a lot about this particular level.
Mm.
We have been here so many fucking times.
We have been here a little bit. Can you all get a day 3 mission today?
That would be really
Can you
exciting.
imagine?
Is this a bathroom key? Key to second floor men's toilet!
Of course.
Don't run into the wall. You fool.
I'm gonna say careful that the spider guy might have followed you. You on the roof? He's on the roof.
It's just around the corner.
Look how fast Shiro hunches over to Buffalo.
I appreciate the fact that he hunches, honestly.
Yeah, this. I can see a version of this game existing where they just whack it over the head and miss.
Right?
Oh, hey, now Tamon can do his thing. We've unlocked the toilet.
Hey, toilet!
Probably more stuff in the basement.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I just wanted to do that before I forgot.
Okay, very fair.
And also, I figured, like, Mina was probably gonna come after us soon, and so, like, actual Mina. Yeah!
Oh,
Yeah! Like
Actual
that!
Mina.
No! This is a problem.
This is a problem.
No!
Mina? Are you around?
Mina doesn't want to be around anymore.
Oh no. Mina. This is a very
This is
dangerous
horrible.
situation. Yeah, that was.
I didn't think she was.
untenable.
I didn't think she was gonna come up, and so I tried to shut the door to put the Spider-Man outside, but then Spider-Man was
I
like.
thought you were trying to push him out with the door, but then he
Yeah,
he
but then
wiggled
he's-
his way in.
He said, I stay here now.
Well, this is fine. We know we can't let Spider-Man in the room. Would be a bad situation were that to happen.
Okay.
The simulations have all told us.
It's bad there. Don't do that. Okay, open this up.
If all we're doing is being mean, we probably don't need to drop fluorescent light bulb down the garbage chute, but we can still do it if we want.
Oh,
It makes
right.
me
I have-
happy to do that.
Ah! My ankles!
Fucking
My
spider.
dang ankles!
Push your dang ankle. It's horrible.
Sir. Sir. I am bopping you.
Just leans over like a 90-degree angle.
No! Why?
Do you remember where the key to the basement was?
Yeah, I picked it up. That's where it
Okay.
checkpointed us.
Oh, nice. Do we still have to unlock the bathroom?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, we will. Where's everyone here? Go away.
Unlock door. I don't wanna... want to do the bathroom key before the Mina
Yeah, I think
situation
you're right.
escalates.
I think you're right.
But that means I have to continue to go through all the bullshit upstairs, which is not ideal.
Yeah, but at least then you can just lock yourself in this part.
Mina, Risa,
Mina,
whoever you
Risa?
are! Fuck!
There are too many Spider-Men here.
I'm gonna die.
Don't do it. Fuck!
Risa, please.
Pray had if all of them attack you at once. This is horrible.
Yeah. We had such a good run going the first time. Mina didn't know where I was. She was
when
stuck...
Risa was stuck on the door.
Yeah!
Horrible.
Yeah! Okay, you know what? No, damn it!
Very
She-
finicky.
Yeah, she moves so quickly I can't keep track of where she is.
Is that?
Where are you? On the other side of the hospital? Yeah.
Sam, I don't know.
I think she's on the other side.
Yeah, she must be, because she'd be able to see you through. Well, you'd be able to see you cross through the door, right?
Yeah. Where is she going?
Just walking. Just out for a walk.
I wonder if I could get Spider Lad stuck in this hallway.
That would be very nice.
That would be
I was
one
thinking,
less,
like, why could we try and lock the spider people?
right? Come here, buddy. Where were you? I swung!
What came out of his head? How did he do it? How did he still do his headbutt?
Okay, so he's stuck in there now.
No.
Mina, still on the other side. She is by the basement door, I think.
She's gonna be a problem, but we've at least got rid of one of the weird little guys.
Yeah, where am I? Also, hi, Akos.
Oh, this is where the light bulb is. It's a light bulb room. The fluorescent light bulb that you drop down the garbage chute.
You know, for reasons.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta drop a fluorescent light bulb down a garbage chute.
Why? Alright, come here, Risa. I'm doing alright.
Solo
That's
Risa,
right.
this is fun. Ma'am, please. Remember that she gets up real quick, though.
Yeah, she's also
As
in front
do
of
the spider people. Sorry.
the men's restroom. You're fine. That's okay. We can unlock this. And then we can go downstairs. No, don't shout! You idiot. You actual fool. But yeah, we're doing good. My AC works again. I got to sleep last night. I got to hang out with a baby today and see my friends. Now I get to hang out with Fruity. Everything is great.
I saw an uncle parade.
I did see an uncle parade.
Just uncles all the way stretching off into the horizon.
It was a lot of uncles. Many much uncle. Okay, I hope that maybe she would forget that I existed. Nice! It's a day of babies! It's baby day! Nice! I hope you had fun with that. Sounds nice. Okay. I know I don't have to open the door, but I'm hoping that maybe if I open it, Risa will be like, "Why is this open?" And then, you know, go in there.
Hopefully she flinches when we hit her with the wrench.
Hopefully.
This is the hole.
And there's Jesse as well. Hi, friend.
Desk.
There is a coffin that has been nailed shut.
It's just a coffin. Why are we removing the nails on the coffin? That's what we needed the hammer for!
Are you shitting me right now? This feels like a mistake?
Yeah?
This has to be a day 2 thing. There is a human-shaped object wrapped in vinyl sheeting.
Is that a dead vampire?
I think we're resurrecting a vampire right now.
Okay.
How are you doing, Jesse? How's it going?
As you do.
Can I use this to end Mina? Nope, that's a thing for Kay
Day 3.
on day 3.
Day 3 mission. Interesting. Oh god. Let's just close that one up. It's
fine. It's fine. Well, why did you turn around?
You did the quick turn.
I now get to use my hammer, so that's exciting.
I think you might have been able to equip that earlier. I just don't think it's any different from the wrench.
Okay, I was like, it's not fading or anything. What's happening? Okay, so we set up Tammin's mission, and we set up Kai's mission.
Yeah.
Great. I'm just saying it out loud so I remind myself for when we have to come back to do mission 2 that I don't have to do those things. Okay. Continue on. Once we start repeating... Okay, I was about to say, once we start repeating missions, we'll go back and do Tammin's. We are now repeating
We're
missions.
doing Tammin's.
I think we're doing Tammin's. Also, Kim, hi. Thank you for the 4 months.
What was that?
Dang. How are you doing, friend? How's it going?
Hi, Kim.
And we found the embedded scythe. Let's get out of here.
Had to watch the woman get exploded so we could possibly find the side. There's no way around that. Oh, there's a new cutscene. Sorry. There's a down. Yeah,
This one.
we haven't seen that one, right?
I don't think so. Is that because we haven't completed the second one?
I mean, we can watch the cutscene though, right?
No.
Ah, okay. Never mind. It's fine. I thought there was just a cutscene stage we hadn't already viewed. It's fine. I want to distract you.
No, distract.
Tammin's like way down on day 2.
Jesus Christ. Okay, there he is. Whoa. Right, it's the weekend. Everything is nice. Everything is great. I'm here. I'm not losing my mind as much as I thought I would be with Siren. Give it another 20 minutes and we'll see how that goes.
The village that shouldn't exist.
This is not me being hopeful that it won't happen.
We do have to hose up.
Okay, it's fine. It's
The
fine.
hose mission.
Find album.
Whoops.
It's hose time.
Hose time.
Where am I? This is the wrong side of the building. I need to be on the other side of the building to do bathroom stuff? Yeah,
We also
yeah,
need
because this
to
one's
find
broken.
record player in director's office.
Yeah, but to do that, we have to get
Yeah.
the key.
It's true.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah!
I just...
We know what's happening. It is locked. That's where the fluorescent bulb is.
What if we want to drop it down the garbage chute?
Only Shiro can do that.
Shiro's such a villain. He'd drop a fluorescent bulb down a garbage chute. Tamon would
What a-
never.
What an actual monster.
Wouldn't even dream of doing something like that.
Nah, he'd just shoot down into the garbage chute.
Just ricochet the bullet out into the Shibito at the bottom.
Hell yeah! Okay, I should reload while I'm in a room where things without hands can't get to me. I need to look at this first. Attach the hose. Attach the hose to the faucet. And then I have to be like, lower the hose!
You have to immediately realize why you would have attached hose to faucet. And just,
Right.
obviously, I lowered the hose
then-
out of the window.
And then
Kim,
we
we're
lower
allowed
the
to say
hose.
hose.
Right. Come on, come on, Automon.
We say hose, yeah.
I'm a good noodle, but I still say hose.
Oh man, come
Oh.
on.
Okay. And then we come down here and we go into this bathroom. We say, "Hey, I would like to put the hose
Pull
into
hose.
the drain." Enjoy your lurk, and thanks for stopping in, and thank you for the sub.
Do we need
Oh.
to run upstairs and turn it on?
Ah!
This is fine. It's just silly.
Hammond's gonna get all
See,
tuckered out.
Try your luck.
Okay. Okay. Turn on faucet. I'm sorry, I forgot I have to tell Tammin literally everything. Man won't do nothing for himself. Can you grab it now? With your fingers. Can you just dip your feenies in there? And go! Get the key. He's not. He's really not. Listen. I love
They're all real
Tammin.
bad.
I love Tammin so much, but I need him to know that he to the second floor, second ward?
That'll be
Okay.
on. Oh, right. Is it that whole corridor?
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's right above us. Okay, this is great! Actually. Woo! Okay, it's not right above us. It's okay. No, I understand. Where are we? We
We're
have
at the
to.
prison. We're in the cells.
Yeah, so we have to come over here.
Okay.
Close that behind us. Because we're not a monster. And then... It's not this one.
That's the fluorescent light bulb room.
Yes,
thing.
it's
Yeah.
this hallway.
Nice. Oh no. No,
But
not
it's
that one.
the other side?
Yeah. It does go all the way around, right? But I thought, yeah, that is. I thought that what you just looked at was the red door on the map.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
I guess we must try from the other side, right? There's not a lot else we can do.
I'm just lost. Because everything
try
looks
this
the
this
same.
side?
I
It does.
don't think so. I don't know. Bruh, I just shot you.
Get back up in like 10 seconds. It's horrible.
It's not good. Is it this door? Yes. Okay, so this one unlocks. This is the gray one below us. We unlock this door.
Nice.
Key to second floor of hospital ward number 2.
Good job,
Okay.
Tamman.
That's not what I wanted. I wanted items. Wanted to see how many bullets I have. I have 1 more bullet after this reload.
7-1 bullet in case we need to light a bridge on fire. It's fine. Oh Jesus, it's horrible here.
Where is the director's office? Around the corner. Very end of the hallway.
Okay.
Okay.
It's not too bad. I think there's 2 in the way, right?
Yeah, and they only take 2 shots each.
Yeah, we got 3 bullets to spare.
I thought he was getting up right away, and I
did
was
as well. It's
gonna
fine.
freak out. No, he just had to go to his default position of, I am sleeping now. Swear to God, if the album is not in here... Wait, no, it's not. The album's not in here, is
We
it?
need the needle from the record player, I think.
Ah, okay.
It's fine, it's gotta be one of these rooms.
Okay, great. Perfect. Love that. I am gonna scream.
It's fine, it's gotta be in one of those rooms.
Much louder than I already have.
Just go in and close that dang door. We were not born in a band. Say what you will about Tamman Takeuchi.
That better be the album. It's a dilapidated album.
Album get.
Woo! Done it. It's
Free.
free.
Free album, no charge.
It's my favorite amount of money. $3.
This woman,
It's the nut.
could it be?
Hirosako? Whatever her name was?
I trust
It was-
that none.
I trust
I only
none.
trust Tamman.
It's just Tammin. Mission 2 accomplished! Look at all this stuff we're getting through.
Probably
Hisako,
bad.
that's her name.
Oh.
Sorry. Shiro's what?
Shiro's probably bad. None is
Oh, yeah.
probably bad.
Yeah.
Everyone else is just confused except Tamman, who's the
Yes.
the hero. Our hero, Tamman Takeuchi.
And the beginning and the end are one.
This all tracks. I'm here for this.
Is the eternal circle.
Ma'am, your shoes are wet now, and that's horrible. Feeling of wet shoes? Walk around and they just squish slightly? It's horrible. Is this the serpent that Kai saw? What is happening?
Oh dear.
Be not afraid!
That was cool.
Bodavutsu Subo. Is that the ship that like leads you to heaven or something? I know a little bit
Not
about
sure.
Japanese mythology. Only a little bit.
Could be.
Mostly only what Okami taught me. If we're being real.
Got a new Kyoya level.
Our weird little nerd boy.
How you doing, weird little nerd boy? Oh,
It's
no.
day 3 though, isn't it?
It's
Is
coming.
it day 3?
Is it? I missed it, so I don't know.
I thought you were late day 2, but
What
could be.
happened?
Hey, you good? Drive away Shibito, Brian!
Fucking
Okay.
Brian's back.
It's okay, it's not Brian with a Y, though.
Wait! It's no use. You can't escape. We have to find the leader and fight him.
We need to fight Brian, understood. Cross the bridge and find something to use as a diversion.
Can she stay here if we're fighting Brian? Question mark.
I mean, I'm not gonna tell her to come with me for the time being. She gets to live here for now. Hey, you know what would be a really good distraction? That phone booth. Too bad I'm not allowed to have the key for it.
Probably broke it by now. Also, the
Yeah.
bridge is burned now.
Yeah, this is...
Tamon, why would you do this? Oh, wait.
Wait.
Huh. I guess we're not... That land there too?
It's 7 in the morning. Okay.
Okay.
This is significantly before Tamon says, "Fuck this bridge!" What was my objective? No, this isn't gonna tell me. It's gonna tell me my overall objective, not the immediate one. I just need to find a distraction. Excuse me while I just teabag the floor. What?
Game what, dude?
We are setting something on fire, though.
Light
Is
a
it
fire
the
to attract
car?
their attention. Ah! We did see the car had been burned.
Miata's car. Okay. I will say, I do love those kinds of hints that they've, like, placed throughout this game, where it's like, you see something, like, way beyond where you've been playing normally, and you're like, how did everything get so bad? And then you show up in a previous level like this, and you're like, oh ho ho! I happened! I came here and made it bad. I should try and find...
Been a bunch of iterations of different characters going through and breaking everything slightly more. And whenever you, like, set off a siren or something to distract them, like, the next time you go there, the siren's broke. Because they did not turn it off because the zombies, they just shot it a bunch of times or something.
Yeah! It's cool. Okay, I think this is Brian? No, that's too low.
Yeah, Brian's...
That's...
I think Brian's just standing at once.
That's a Brian with a Y.
Brian with a Y.
I think that's Brian with a Y.
That might be him. No, Scotland. I think he crouches down, he just doesn't...
He doesn't run.
He's not a Spider-Man, yeah.
I think that's Lady. Is this him?
That could be him. I don't know
Okay,
why he's got one eye, but... They all like that.
I'm gonna put him on triangle.
Possible Brian.
Possible Brian is triangle. Brian with a Y is
I think
a
the
circle.
car's over the other end of the map, by the way.
It is. I just want to see what's over here.
Okay.
This is kind of a test run right now. What kind of bad things are here? Excuse you. That was my blood, and that needs to stay in my body. You are- Why are you so far away?
He needs to do a proper lean like Shiro.
Honestly.
Yeah, that'd get this sorted out.
We hate Shiro, but he does got that good 90-degree hunch going for him.
I'm kind of interested to know what's going on with Shiro.
Same.
I like Shiro now.
Gasoline is dripping from the chassis. We are
Carrie's
what happened.
asking to be burned.
Perfect.
Distracting.
Now what?
Where you at, Brian? Is Brian... Oh.
Ah! Okay.
What?
Because I've been hit so many times so soon.
Single slap. Kyoya goes down.
Says Kiyoya.
Unbelievable.
Okay, this isn't
Okay.
too bad.
Yeah, literally like 3 steps away from where you are. This is fine.
Yeah.
Hey, game. You know these checkpoint things that you've been doing recently?
They've been
Thumbs
good. I
up.
liked them.
Thumbs up. We like this. I thought he'd come to the car. I don't know why we
I
set
think
the car on fire.
I think it might bring the other Shibito over there so that we have a chance at Brian.
Makes sense. He was guarded. Where are you, Brian?
Never, ever, never.
Okay. Can't.
Never ever, you say?
Never ever.
It looks like they're about where. It looks like where. What's his face? We're hiding. Can't remember his name. The gun granddad. It can't be.
Oh.
'Cause that's where Lady is.
Yeah.
No, you got him. Why you running? Why you running, Brian? Just Mario stomping Brian. Brian, you motherfucker.
Brian, you're so fast! And I am so slow!
Just out of there. I didn't want none of it. Why did Lady go? She could have tricked him up as he ran past.
he just ran past her. She did nothing.
Okay. I mean, she is blind, so she does kind of have an excuse.
You piece of shit. Oh my god! Kyoya, I need you to ready your weapon faster than you're doing.
Just the 1 second of deciding to go into hit mode. And the guy's just gone. He's just wiggled out of the way. What? How do catch?
I hate this. I hate this.
I'm tired.
Well, I can't stop, though.
Obviously, the course of action here, obviously, is to use the following move.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Do you have a plan?
If you... I don't... Are they still following you? Maybe they just got bored and stopped. Oh. Hey! See? That were a good plan.
Wait for it to all blow over.
Yeah, just... If you can't see them, they can't see you.
I need her to understand that I was this close to just smacking her, because how dare she let Brian run
Yeah,
past.
if Brian's running past you, you need to do a
Just lay
football
out!
tackle on that boy.
Right? Or if anything else, just lay flat across the area where he's running. He's not gonna notice you. He's got weird barnacles on his face.
Just stick a leg out as he goes by.
Yeah! What I'm saying. Actually, you know what? Ma'am. How wide can you make yourself? No.
I can't see. Do it right.
I'm right here.
About
I love
time.
the second you have to interrupt the yell. They knew that the yell would go off when you didn't want it all the goddamn time. But they didn't think of any solution to this other than Well, just let him interrupt it for like a second after they start to yell. Just give it a bit of a wind up.
Horrible. Okay. Give Kyoya a second to, you know, not be tired. I placed her right in front of where he wants to run. You piece of shit.
When you get the Mario stomp on him. Yes! Yes! She's helping! For the first... No! She helped a little bit. You got a hit on him. This is horrible.
I am gonna scream.
Dude,
I hate
we just
everything so
don't have a means of
much.
stopping this guy. He can, if he wants to run away, he's just allowed.
It's horrible.
What can we do?
I'm not sorry that I hit
We
you,
have to hurry.
but I need you to come with me. You get the wonderful task of living on this bridge.
Yeah. You'll have to push her all the way across if he wants to, to get free. Where is he stopped right now?
He's in here somewhere. What?
Oh! Fuck off! But why? So your first is wrong. He has a knife. That's fine. Okay. Got him. He just forgot how to run away. Good.
Did the barricade confuse him?
Possibly? He might have tried to start running backwards and through you?
It's whatever, we fucking did it. I don't care.
When he said move barricade, I assumed you were gonna like put it in the way, blocking the stairs. And then you just moved it out of the way. And you were already out of the way. You could already get down the stairs.
Nor is it the underworld.
It's fine. It's
Somewhere
fine.
in between.
What's wrong?
It's fine.
What are we going to do? We have nowhere to go.
What are you complaining about? You don't like this village anyway. People here are weird, but anybody would be, living in a place like this. Come on, let's get out of here. And you won't have to see your strange brother again.
You?
I have a name. Kyoya.
Thanks.
This
Kyoya.
goofy ass smile.
I just came to get you back.
Oh!
Oh.
Oh!
Oh hey, we saw the weird brother again.
You'll never have to see your weird brother again. Next
Next
loop
loop
already. Oh. Same hat. That's fine. Let's keep doing loops.
Gonna go back to the fucking starting
right.
levels again. Why do
You're
you
right.
like this game?
I don't want to play this stage, but I have to in order to be able to select a new stage. I need to not continue at the end of a loop. I need to select a new stage. I need to remind myself of that.
Nonsense, but you do, because it'll just put you back on the first level of the entire game for no reason.
Yeah.
Hey, we've explored here, actually. We're fine. We're good.
Like, I kind of get it, because there are, you know, the sub-objectives on all three of those levels that are very important for the later episodes. But
yeah, but we've done them. So after you've done all the sub-objectives, you'd think it'd stop.
We've done them. We don't need to do it again. Tomoko... Tammin, what do you got?
Have we complete Tammin up to...
Tammin is complete. We have one for Kyoya, and that's the one that we just did. Kai is complete except for his cutscene, which is connected to Shiro. I just kind of want to see who we have left at this point. Risa is done.
Harumi's second mission. Harumi's only got one level.
Yeah.
I don't know if she has more in the game, but we've only unlocked one.
Reiko has the one mission that we have to finish. Akira is done. Tomoko has one. Naoko has one. And Miyako, I think, is complete. Ayako...
I think these are all just cutscenes. These
Yeah.
everyone over this
Yeah.
side.
Okay. I guess... There's no way that we got this unlocked. Unless... I mean, we just did it, but I want to check. Might as well check, right?
What must we do other than defeat Brian?
Defeat Brian, but not move a barricade. I don't fucking know. I don't know.
Impossible. We got it.
Acquire a 38
Oh my god, there's
caliber...
a fucking gun.
Where is...
Oh, what time is it? I'll give you the cryptic hint.
Make a trap for Officer Ishida.
Oh,
Cross the bridge and
jeez.
Find something to use as a diversion.
Is it 7 o'clock day 2?
Yes.
Pay attention to the puddle.
No. 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 It's puddle time.
Oh, the Tamil one was pay attention to the water pipe in the window. Water runs from top to bottom.
Yeah, I remember that. I didn't remember it word for word, but
we're getting through this.
Do you think that maybe at most one more weekend? At the rate that we're moving? Okay.
It's hard to say because it's Siren is the thing.
That's valid.
You never know when there's gonna be a weird roadblock.
Naoko Mihama's resume is on the floor over here. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Excuse?
But I think we're like basically done with day 1.
Oh no.
Possibly all the way done with day 1. And there's very little day 3 because everyone fucking dies on day 1. Oh jeez, what happened?
The police officer.
It's the officer, but he's now a Brian with a Y.
Oh.
Puddle's over here though. Puddle is over here though.
But he's flying. He flies.
Yeah, this could be a bit complicated. Acquire the 38 caliber revolver, which the cop has.
Oh my god.
Okay. Yeah?
Oh, we do.
Does it have to do with the barricade?
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there's no sub-objectives.
Good!
There's one sub-objective to get the revolver, which is also mission 2, so it's fine.
So when they say sub-objective, they mean main objective. Can I... Hold on, let me look at my map, because there should be a way for me to get to the other side of that puddle.
Can we?
Yeah. Can we... Where are you going?
Do we turn power off? There's a lot of things.
I hit you twice!
He wasn't looking the second time. Horrible, awful creatures.
This is fine. It's fine.
It's fine. This is the best. This is the least horrible session we've had since the game started being horrible. This is fine.
It's true.
We can deal with this.
That's true. I just wish I had a better weapon, which
Yeah,
we will
this
be
weapon
getting.
sucks, and they ignore
but-
every second hit.
Yeah, I'm not happy about that.
What do we have in our inventory?
Bad things.
Just a sake bottle.
I
A
have to
honkin'
use.
sake ball.
I have to use that on the cop. I understand. That was a clever way of pointing me in the right direction. I see what you're doing. To be fair, I completely forgot that we had that.
It's just worth checking every once in a while.
Yeah, you're right.
Tom,
Yeah, you're right.
What do you mean? I have no ulterior motive. There were 2 slaps. Kyoya, why do you suck so much?
Kyoya, please. I need you to be good. Okay, this is fine. Everything is fine. It's all fine.
He's gonna have a gun, and then he's gonna be the backup Tamon.
No.
It's gonna be fine.
No, he can't be that good.
Yeah, he'll never be that good, but he's gonna have a gun. That's the first step to being Tamon.
That's true. That is true. Maybe one day. One day he could be half as cool as Tamon. That'd be exciting.
He needs
The
to get
world
big
needs
curly
more.
hair before he can be as cool as Tamon.
Yes, please. Can I go around this way? I can't. I can't. That's the thing, though. There was a thing in here, and I wanted it. Right there.
Oh, magazine.
Kyoya! Kyoya!
Does Kyoya just die in 2 slaps? Is that just how many slaps it takes to kill a Kyoya? You just backhand him twice and he's done.
Yes. I need him to hit the things, though.
Without hitting the wall, or just beating him in some other way we hadn't thought of.
This isn't even him hitting the wall. This is literally him just taking forever to, like, get ready to hit something. Okay, now you do it vaguely quickly. So it's only when you're not panicked that you will prep your weapon.
He'll prep his weapon when he's not in a fight. Very easily, very quickly.
But then he gets into a fight and he's like, oh god, oh no! Oh no!
Oh jeez, oh no. Oh jeez, oh no.
Oh jeez, oh no. Oh no, oh jeez. Oh jeez.
Yeah, that barricade is not in front of anything, and it already wasn't in front of anything?
Fuck off!
I think you gotta wait for him to finish shuffling back before you can hit him again, because he'll just miss, because he's garbage.
But then as they come forward, they try to hit me.
Yeah, they do. Like, they go straight from shuffle backwards to punch you. I don't know where the opening is.
Right, it's like I don't have an option to not fight at least one of these.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to fight him. It
This is
says in the guide you
horrible.
probably have to fight these fucking idiots.
Oh. Oh.
Okay.
No!
You can probably fight the one in the room on its own, and then the other one afterwards, if you can. It's just, how do you do all that without getting slapped twice?
I'm gonna die. I don't want to be around anymore. I don't like these enemies.
This combat, it's not good.
It's not good, and I thought I had gotten used to it.
You got used to it, but you got used to it with characters who, like, lean into the swings a bit more than Kyoya, I guess.
Let it go.
Let go, Kyoya. Just let it go.
Let it go. Let it go. know the rest of the song. That's all I know.
I think it's let it go. Let it go.
Can't hold it back anymore. Something like
Too
that.
dangerous to go back.
Okay, well I'm trying. It's too dangerous to continue this way.
400 hits to kill those ladies, and they kill you in 2 slaps.
So bad. This is the puddle route.
That was the plan. Oh god, he saw you.
Puddle charged with high voltage electricity from the power cable. Stepping it is too dangerous. Hey, buddy, I got some booze for you.
How do deploy booze on cop? What are you? Gross. Surely you can come in. You bop him on the head if he came in. Then where does he go? Oh god. That's gotta be him, right?
I think so. Okay, Shabit O'Brien is triangle again. Is this him?
That's him. It's gotta be.
Hi, arcade.
Okay.
Yeah. I know, I
That's
see!
all.
I see! It's my friend Arcade! Look! 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 Look at the pretty thing! Look at the very lovely pretty thing! Hold on! Hold on! Hang on! Look! Look! Look at it! Camera, focus. Camera, focus. Focus, camera. Not on my face. Look at them! 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 There? Here? Is that better? That's a little
Put
better.
right next to your face. Then I'll have to focus on your face. And you'll trick it into seeing them.
It's so good though. But look at, I'm so bad at figuring out where things are in relation to the camera. I like how it's very easily focusing on Masky back here, Masky and Richard, but this little lovely Embry, nah. No, I love it. I love it so much. It's so very good. I'm trying to figure out where to like hang him. I wanted to put it on my microphone, but I was kind of being a butthole about hanging up there. I'll figure out a cool place to put it. But I love it. I'm very excited for more Arcade Kitten merch in the future. I will pay as much as I need to cover your shipping. Don't undersell yourself anymore for shipping. Oh, it's so good. How are you doing, though, friend? How is it going? Okay, yeah, man's gone away. I don't know.
I'm looking at the wrong stream. Hang on. I don't know what I heard it on. Oh, it's because you were showing the thing. I remember.
Yes.
Seconds ago. I remember it like it was yesterday.
Listen, I'm only being sweet because it's true. You like, here, let me give you the grand tour. This is the bad living room. This is where I like to hang out because the rest of the house is infested with monsters. And up over there is the monster den. Oh, I'm sorry. I've let myself into your house and I didn't even ask. Hey, is it cool if I'm here?
Yeah, that side's where all the spider people live. This side is where if you go out the door, the flying man shoots you. I think Mountain Hut is where the guide was talking. Oh god, is it all the way back there? Sorry.
That's where the that's where spider friends are.
It does say. No, it says in the south half of the ore processing plant, but you probably go through that bit. I mean, you
Okay.
can't get it without going through that bit, right?
Okay, yeah, but I can... South portion of the processing plant?
Yeah, that's what it says.
It's not this, is it? Cannot be opened.
That is locked and cannot be opened. I hope not. Ah!
Okay.
The key's found in the mountain hut. Right, okay, I understand now. Yeah, keys in the mountain hut to unlock that. Even though it says it's locked and cannot be opened? Because...
Ah!
Fine, we got this.
Ah!
You're gonna boot them on the head and they're gonna know what hit them.
Okay. It's great. Sorry, I'm just getting in touch with my inner Shibito.
You've been making a lot of sounds today.
I am sorry.
It's fine. Sometimes
just
you gotta.
It's just what's happening.
This is a precarious situation.
Kiyoya, you need to back up like a human who knows how to back up!
Yeah. You need to learn how to survive more than 2 slaps.
Ah! Okay, it's fine.
From a
Everything is fine.
person walking on all fours. I got slapped in the thigh. Twice. I am undone.
Oh no, my thigh! Also, that is a good pun. Sorry, I just... No, I'm gonna shame him. No, I'm going to. Normally, I'd be like, you know what, that's okay. You be a sweet, soft little boy. But now is not the time to be a sweet, soft little boy. I need him to kill the Shibito. At least for, like, here. Hi, Cyril. At least for
Cyril's...
here. And it's not
Cyril,
like we're too far
that's
away.
20 minutes going.
Yeah, Cyril. Cyril,
That's 20 minutes.
how much are you 11, 20 minutes till dawn?
Have you thregged?
Have you thregged? Hey. How's the thregging? Also, Cyril, I don't know if you've played any of Arcade Kitten's games yet, but look at this cute little charm. Look at this cute little charm that I got today from Arcade. Look at how cute it is. Look at how precious this is. Look at how cute and tiny and precious and lovely it is. We love our friend Arcade. But yeah, have you thregged yet? It's true, Arcade Pog. Cyril also Pog. Hey, my friends? Kind of fucking great. Kind of like my friends. Please. I hope the thregging has been going well. Look, I was very excited about the possibility of threg.
Yeah, you can threg.
You can threg in that
Can
game,
confirm.
which immediately
Threg
makes
is
it great.
possible.
I need Kiyoya to actually do a fucking thing.
No, he was hitting the fucking corpse because he's a fucking idiot.
I breathed wrong.
I don't think we have to fight any more enemies in the level than these. It's gonna be fun. It's Threg. It's a way of life, really. It's Threg.
It is. It's not just a move you can do. It is a whole subculture. Sorry,
Yeah.
I was about to shriek when I died, and then I like fucked up my vocal cords. It's fine. Give me a second.
Oh no.
It's fine. It was mostly that I breathed in as I was getting ready to breathe out, and my throat was like, what are you doing? So Threg is
My
dragon.
review is you can Threg in this video game.
It's not
I remember.
You can't escape. We have to find the leader.
We love Threg here. But yeah, it's when
Just love to Threg.
It's when you dragon, but 3.
Piss out my ass and call me Threg 13 months re awooga peppies poopies I love you.
No, a second. I'm broken. Fully broken. Peppies poopies. Kimrold knows the best way to deliver lines. Holy shit. Thank you though for the 13 months, Cyril. Hi, Emmy.
So many friends.
Hi. Long time no see. How's it going? How was your nap? Yeah, my face went. Peppy's poopies. Holy shit. But yeah, you can threg in... What if you know what?
Threg is when you play as Shanna, and then for the triple upgrade that you get, you take the dragon egg, and when it hatches, you get 3 dragon eggs. You get 3 dragon eggs, and when they hatch, you get 3 dragons.
Yeah, it's 3. Yeah, it's
3 egg.
Threg.
Also known as Threg.
Fuck you!
To those within the subculture. This is impossible. This child with a stick cannot defeat these bug people.
Yes. I also get confused when summons are the same color as the enemies.
It's fine when it's Threg, because they just delete all the enemies on the screen.
It's true.
There's no problem. You just... Wherever the fire's coming from, you just make go in a circle. You don't need to know exactly where anything is.
It's true though, nothing can get on the screen if you threg!
Yeah.
Why would you fight the nap the whole time, Emmy? Emmy, are you baby now? Why are you like this? So excuse me. I'm snotty. I'm just a baby. I'm just a baby. Get fucked!
Is he literally just like getting the timing down? Not like paying attention to anything that's happening except the noise?
Correct!
They go, ah! And then after half a second, you press the attack button again.
Yes.
Now we know.
Going to shit. What
are we using poker on? Are we poking the dead? What?
No, we're getting the key that's under the boards. There is a key under the boards. It was hard to see, but it is there. And now we've got a poker, and we can get the key, and I can leave, and never deal with any of these pieces of shit bug fucks ever again.
It's a shit bug fuck.
I'm sorry. What is happening in chat?
Peach is sending emotes. Peach is angry. Peach does not approve of you being those, Peach and Arcade both don't approve of you being of those spider people.
I'm gonna fucking do it, though. Also, I'll butt pat Peach. Let's go. I'll pat Peach's butt. Let's go. It is unlocked. Open the door. Hi. Hi, David.
David.
Try. Pull lever down. Hi.
So step 1, we've turned off the electric.
Okay, and now what?
So obviously, step 2
is to dump the sake bottle here? I don't...
is to pour the sake into the puddle. So that it'll drink the puddle.
What the fuck? What the fuck? No! No!
And then we draw a mustache onto the fake license. Because the man on it who we're impersonating
Oh no!
does not have a mustache.
I just need you to see how bad this man is, though.
He's not good. He's not a good man.
Police officer.
It's not good. He's a bad
Like,
man.
Does he know it? I mean, he does, obviously, but does he?
Did you have to wind up like that? What?
Okay, this is fine, because he can't get in, and no one comes in here. If we go into the hiding room, and we just hijack him and wait for him to start drinking the puddle. He's the one who flies. That were him, I think. I know you
Yeah, but
didn't switch because you wanted to. You switched because...
Because he's rude and horrible and...
Because the
And
thing's very wiggly. It doesn't
he
like
moves so
you
fast.
to be able to focus on one guy. That looks like
true.
him.
You gonna
What are you doing?
go dink your oiter!
I'm gonna dink your oiter, cop.
Dink your oiter, cop. Cop, it's oiter dinkin' time!
I think it's oiter dinking time.
Oiter dinkin' time! Gonna go dink my oiter! This is not dinking oiter.
Go back.
Dink it! Go dink it! Dink your oiter, you piece of shit!
Kayshurrr has a touch of the Siren madness. It's fine.
Ah! I need to be done with this level.
It's fine. He's gonna drink. He's gonna dink the oiter.
I need him to dink his oiter. Dink it!
Dink. We know you saw that oiter.
Dink it!
Okay, turn the thing back on. Turn the thing back on.
Dink! It's true though. That is my face when he doesn't dink his fucking oiter. Look at this idiot.
Throw it.
Pull that lever down.
Just run over and get his gun. Jobs are good.
Ah! Okay. Great. We fucking killed a cop.
Yeah, good job.
Oiter dinkin' party. Oiter dinkin' party. Party is. Oh, he is gonna come back, though.
No, he won't. And if he does, he don't have a gun. We have
Sure,
his
I could-
gun now. What's he gonna do?
I have taken the 38 caliber revolver.
I think that was a mission.
Yo-yo
Yeah, that's the
Suda.
sub objective and also the main mission.
Perfect.
For every oiter that he doesn't dink, a Peaches does a
Oh,
scream.
no.
That's horrible.
How many oiters did he not drink? Did he not
Many.
dink? Sorry, I don't know what I was talking about.
Wild, wacky, weird. Also, it's
Speaking
Hisako
the wrong
time.
language over here.
Oh right, remember how Kyoya got
Why
fucking
Yeah.
shot?
Someone wonderful is waiting for you.
I don't trust the nun.
Why not? Oh, also, now that Emmy and
Yo,
David
we
are
just-
here.
2 loops in
Yeah, we
one
did.
stream.
No, I didn't ask yet because I was gonna try and wait to see if you were gonna show up. I'm supposed to see how you say rural.
Rural.
Okay, but
Rural? Rural.
is that how you say it though?
Rural.
Okay,
Why?
maybe
How
it's
am I
just like
supposed
a.
to say?
I don't know. There's a maybe.
Rurale.
No,
Ruru.
not rural. No, so there's this. I don't know. It might be a Midwestern thing. It might be a thing
Rural?
in Midwestern. We say rural, so it's like RRL.
Rural.
Rural.
That's
It's rural. So I was wondering if when you
Rural.
said it, you got rid of even more letters than we get
we
rid
do
of.
miss a lot of letters in the north. We do
It's
just
true.
G any letters we don't agree with. So this is
And-
a fair assumption.
Yeah, so it was one of those things where I'm like, can I use rural in a sentence? Yeah, like, the Midwest is full of rural areas where not many people live. It's the
Rural?
countryside, essentially. Rural.
Rural.
It's like squirrel, but more R's.
The Uncle Parade!
Yeah.
Kesh sent me a picture of the uncles.
Say it regular? Roll. It's roll.
Bro!
Roll. Again, you say it RRL. That is how it is spelled. It's not actually how it's spelled, but it's basically how it's spelled. Roll. Yeah. Yeah. I'm on a roll.
There was just one uncle who didn't wave.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible.
I think he was distracted. It wasn't like he made eye contact and was like,
Did he
"Fuck
look like
you."
he was terrified to be riding his tractor? He had no idea what he was doing.
I think he might have been like looking out at the cornfield and being like, "That's some good corn."
It's just
Can you imagine getting on your tractor and then finding yourself in a tractor parade and being like, "Where am I? How did I get here?" Okay. Yeah, so we were just curious if
some
you...
time of year the con puts out a special pheromone and all the uncles for miles around join a convoy.
That's just called corn mold. That's just corn mold.
You even look the
Corn
same
mold
in
has a
death.
strange effect on uncles.
Not the corn math.
Stop that! Stop that!
Who knows where the uncles will end up?
My god. Oh my god.
Wherever there's the most con, probably.
Thanks. I went to go see a baby today and was like, I need to look good for baby. Orion. Fine.
Don't care about
Orion.
you idiots, but that fucking baby.
Nah, fuck all y'all. I'm here for baby. I do gotta make a good first impression. I think I did. I think baby and me are friends.
Did you have mission 2? I wasn't looking.
Yeah, it said I have to find
And what time is
Orion?
it?
Find Orion. It is Orion. I have to find
Day 2 midnight?
Yeah, thereabouts.
There's not that many on day 2, so I don't need to be that specific.
12:49. Okay, but listen, this medical professional super into malpractice. Don't worry. No, listen.
First, use the light. Then, the machine for the peeping person. So
Okay,
we
so
drop the
put
light
the
down
light-
the garbage chute, obviously. How else would you start?
Clearly the only acceptable motion.
Yeah.
Okay, so we
Check if Shiro has any weird hidden missions.
what items do I have? I have a flashlight and a hammer. And
Yo, I
a
found this
ratchet
mission
wrench.
so quick.
Nice. Nice.
Okay, he has 2 sub-objectives. The second floor man's toilet, which you did, and getting the
did.
stick, which you did. You've done it.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Just gotta worry about doing
Using the light and finding the machine and using the machine for the peeping people. You can use the hammer.
Yeah, you can.
And Shiro takes more than like 2 hits from the enemies.
Surprisingly.
Shiro is not the softest boy anymore. It's
weird.
Kiyoya. That's horrible, Cyril.
Rip.
Once you get those permanent upgrades,
You'll be an
it
unstoppable
swings
force.
a lot
Oh!
back in your favor.
Ah!
This is
Ah!
broken. Will not open. This isn't fine.
I'm just gonna hammer the lady.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's fine, folks. Don't worry about it.
She'll get back up. This is how she takes naps?
She gets back up in like 10 seconds.
Do I have a key?
Was Key in Lightroom?
I can't
Hold on.
get to Lightroom?
Interesting.
Hold on. Maybe it's in this room. Maybe it's locked.
Is all of room locked? Is every room locked forever?
This is a bit of a problem.
Mine. I want to go get a drink. Because
Do it.
I ran out ages ago and
Oh
was
my
just
God.
sitting here, not hydrating, not dinking my oiter. I'm talking
You-
about that other man not dinking his oiter.
My good friend, need to dink some oiter. I will pour
I gotta
myself
dink
some
some
more oiter.
oiter.
Oh god, and I almost just spilled everywhere. Thank you, Emmy, for the hydrate. Gotta go get that oiter for dinking. Dinking oiter. I drink oiter! I dink oiter, even. Don't even try with me. Don't even try with me, Emmy. Hold on. Don't even try. Yeah. Oiter jug. Oiter jug. I'm gonna hold that lid so I don't accidentally, like, flail it everywhere, but oiter jug! Fine, listen. Oiter. Welcome back.
So
Fruity.
much dang oil! So prepared!
I drink so much fucking water all of the time.
I should probably dink more oiter.
You should. Consider.
I hear it's bad for you to just, not hydrate until you realize you're starting to die.
Yeah.
Which is what I do normally.
Hey,
It's like in a
you
video
should-
game. When your health starts to tick down from
No,
thirst, that's when you go.
Fruity.
That's when you stop gaming for long enough to do a dink.
I'm gonna start yelling at you more to drink more water. That's the only
Fine.
acceptable solution here.
It's fine.
Also, I can't. Whoa!
She is just not getting the message. Ma'am, you have to stay down. You can go the other way, right?
Drink more water. Eat more screws. Drink more water. Eat more screws.
That is a fair point.
More what?
Although I don't know what drink and water is. I don't think
Dink-
that's correct
Dink more
terminology.
oiter. Dink more oiter. Eat more screws. Dink more oiter. Eat more screws. Unlock from the inside. I forgot I could unlock from the inside. Drink more oiter and eat more screws.
What?
Sorry.
Tamman can
I,
do his dumb bullshit in there.
Don't
Oh, wait, is that the
Screw-
one upstairs?
screw water. Don't do that. Cyril, no. You have to dink it. You need that. It's important. Listen here.
What if you eat water and dink a screw?
I mean, if you can do that, I'd be impressed.
Just gotta melt it down.
Make it real hot. Mmm. Close that. Hey, have you considered not doing that thing that you're doing?
Hey, you horrible spider person.
Give me the fluorescent light that I definitely thought was a pipe the first time. It was,
You were like, oh wow, a better weapon! And then it's a
And then
light bulb.
it was not a better weapon. In fact, it was not a better weapon. Okay, so what was the
Possibly
second?
the worst weapon.
Fluorescent. Yes. Yes. Correct. What was the second hint?
The machine for peeping or something? Peep machine?
Peep machine.
The machine for the peeping person.
I don't know about that. Where is the...
I feel like we're supposed to get outside, but I don't know how.
Yeah. Shiro.
Hero, you motherfucker. We were just talking up how good you are at hitting things with a hammer. We're supposed to kill you.
I'm just trying to find where. Please, please, please.
Maybe I'll lock him in there.
You're right. You're right.
That'd be handy. No! What? This is the worst thing I've ever seen. A crime has just been committed.
Okay, that door is closed.
Fucking guy, you don't do nothing. He got 3 seconds tops. And he wiggled to the wrong side of the door. Horrible.
It's true. It's true. Okay, drop the light bulb.
See, this is very important that you drop the light bulb down the garbage chute. We did find out we could do that earlier. We had no idea why Shiro was doing it, but we did it anyway. It's fine.
Set off the machine for peeping people?
Mm-hmm.
Don't me. Examination room? Peeping people.
I've looked at the solution, and it is moon logic.
Okay, then give it to me.
Okay, I think we need to retry. Because we need to still have the fluorescent light bulb.
But it said to. But it.
Yep.
But
It
it
did.
said.
Yeah, I did. True.
Fruity.
True. You're right. It was a ruse. We also need to go to the laboratory and pick up an EEG machine.
We're gonna take a break so I can go pee. We're gonna take a pee break, and then we're gonna do this stupid thing.
Pee machine time.
I am the pee machine. We know this. Welcome. I am pee machine. No, we'll just do a quick short break. One round of words, and then we'll do this. And then after this mission, we'll probably do some 20 minutes or Vampire Survivor, whichever people want more of. Here, actually, I'll just start that poll now. Do we want it?
I mean, do we want to show Cyril how it's done? No.
I mean, I don't
We're
want
gonna drag for your buddy.
I don't want to be rude and be like, look how good I am at this game. Not that good. I'm not that good. Here. You know what? No, if you want me to play 20 minutes, then we'll play 20 minutes. But vote for it.
Drag friend.
Kill a tree live on stream. Oh, fucking do it. Fucking do it.
You can kill a tree.
Yeah, you can. There you go, and you can use your bubbles to vote if you want. I'm gonna go pee. So, BRB. Good job, y'all. Also, I like that Cyril just dumped all of their points into the thing. No one voted for Vampire Survivors either, but Cyril was like, it's very good.
Yeah,
No,
that's
it's fine.
50 Cyril votes. Cyril was the only person who remembered to vote.
Cyril voted, and then Cyril dumped 490 points into the poll. Good job, Cyril. I'm proud of you. Cyril said, we are doing 20 minutes. Nothing else. Only 20 minutes. I appreciate it. Alright. Go pee! Go do the pee thing! I do think the hammer is more powerful. What?
You know when Risa were patrolling and she knocked the door down?
Yeah.
I think that needs to happen. Because I
Is
think
that-
that was a laboratory, and I don't think you can get in otherwise.
Okay, great. Okay, great. So we'll let Risa do her thing.
Yeah, I don't think anyone had ever worked this out. I think it's one of those. We had some good luck with some of the missions. Now we're in Moon Logic again.
That's okay.
So wait for Risa to break the door down,
Probably.
get the EEG machine from inside, and we need to have the fluorescent light bulb.
Okay.
And it'd help if we had the rifleman outside. Like we had a sight jack that we could get to him very quickly.
Okay. So Risa is triangle, Rifleman is circle.
Okay.
Again, saying that out loud more for myself, but also so if somebody else decides to remember it, they can remind me when I inadvertently forget. Yeah! Yeah! Good! Thank you, Fruity. Perfect.
It's the only move I know. Type it in chat and hope that means I remember, which it possibly doesn't.
At least you've made steps to make it happen. Okay, so we need to go in here. Pick this up. And then
Do not throw the light bulb yet.
yeah.
I need Risa to open the door.
Horrible the way that this whole place just looks the same. I hate it. I hate it so much. Okay, but we need her in the laboratory, which is okay. I know where that is.
Is she close?
She
She
is
might have
in...
already done it if she's passed. It does normally take her a minute though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I
But
don't know
she's
what
definitely
building she's
past
in.
it.
Risa, where are you gone? She might have done it. There is a non-zero chance she's already unlocked it.
Oh, I'm scared. I think she's coming up here.
She will do that. Yeah,
She
she's
is-
coming up.
What if I just... We just live here now.
Yeah, this is fine.
Rifleman circle. Wait, that door's open!
Oh! That might be mission 2. The door might just be open. It makes sense. How you doing, Risa? Gonna get it. Just gonna get out of everyone's business, please, Risa.
I'm scared.
Yeah. I was like, there's like at least a decent chance, she just decides to randomly, just out of nowhere, check that bathroom.
I think that this
Just
bathroom
no
needs to be
reason at
looked
all.
at. Listen, even Willow needs a dinkeroider.
Well,
Even
it
if
needs
that
to dig
oider-
everyone's oil.
It's true, I was gonna say, even if that oider is
Forbidden
yours.
oilers.
Did she go? Did she keep going?
Surely he could sneak past him. Surely. I mean, she hasn't actually gone that far. She's going as slowly as
Possible.
anything has ever moved without technically being stopped.
I'm told that there is movement, but I'm not convinced. I still don't understand the peeping people.
Yeah, I don't think it makes sense.
It doesn't.
Yeah, it's fine. We'll just go to the lab and find an EEG machine.
Okay. Alright. Ah!
Hey, the lab's open.
Okay. Yeah, get that water. Think that oider.
Okay.
EG
Now we
machine.
need to run up and drop the fluorescent light bulb down the thing. And then after that, we need to sight check the man. The gunman.
Okay. I think I need to be on the other side, though. This is a
Yeah, I think you
problem.
do. And that's why the lady's going as slowly as she possibly can. This is fine. You got it.
I would like some non-poopy hot oider, please. She's literally going over where I need to go.
Does she go around in a circle? Does she just go down the stairs and then round?
I don't know, but I am annoyed. Okay, I do need to go this way.
This is fine. It might. It's she's annoying, but we can do this.
You have to close the doors, lady. Lady, listen.
Did wonder how
Wait.
the spiders are getting around sometimes. The lady opens all the fucking doors.
Honestly, and she's a monster and doesn't close them.
Is that her?
Yeah.
Is she walking down one step every 5 minutes?
Yes. That is correct.
Lady, please. This is horrible. Shiro.
To be fair, it was dark, and I was aiming the wrong way. Buddy.
It's fine. You got it.
Okay, let me finish this right quick, and then I will draw this. Because if I stop now, then I will
We'll
fuck
forget
this
what
up.
we're doing. It's nonsense.
Yes. Okay,
Okay.
so we need to...
So, drop the light bulb. And then you need to sight check the man. And he's gonna go check that out.
And then I have to drop the machine on her. Him, them, whoever this is.
And then you drop the EEG machine on the head.
Does he, like, look in?
That might count. Oh shit, has he gone away? If it doesn't work, we have to just hit him with a hammer, which is much more precarious. Okay, you could try running out there real quick and hitting him. I think you had to do it while he was standing there, but not, like, obviously checking the thing. He's
Risa!
wrong! Does
I'm
suck.
gonna
You only
die.
get one shot of this. I would have liked to see the man get hit with the thing, but You can just hit him with a hammer. It's fine.
Sorry.
Uh,
Zero, thank you for the gift sub. Okay, but now what?
examine the suspicious large statue in the courtyard.
I think there's time for it, actually. Hey, actually, Shiro, I think there's time for it.
Might be time for it.
Okay.
So much blood.
That is a lot of blep.
Definitely
do
a
see-
Yariko pub
I was-
snuck in there.
I was gonna say. Not too
So-
pleased about that.
The
Okay.
whole hint for that one was about the dropping. Apparently, the machine for peeping people is the EEG machine. I don't get.
It's because he's
The whole-
trying to figure out what the noise was, and so he's peeping into the room. Or into the garbage chute, but the order in which that they've talked about that made no sense.
None of that made sense. And then if you use the light when it prompts you if you want to, then it's gone and you can't do it. But you can just run out and hit the man with the hammer anyway, and that's fine.
Thanks!
You want me to take it?
Yeah, don't make her keep holding it up. Okay?
Shiro, what the fuck?
Thank you. We've got the Urien.
You got it.
We got it. We did it.
Quick cutscene.
Never have to go back to that level ever again.
Yeah.
What's this?
Hey, it's Mina and Risa.
I've been waiting for you.
Shiro has lost his shit.
This is the secret of everlasting life. It doesn't matter how you cut them up, they just regenerate. I can't do much about it now.
You're insane.
Yeah. Yeah, it might. That might be the case.
So I think Shiro's just lost it entirely.
He's gone a bit wrong.
Yeah. Hey, it's a day 3 mission though.
Holy shit! First day 3 mission.
We'll look at the cutscene, but we're not gonna play it because I have to
Sorry?
draw the thing, and we have to play
and
some
then
20 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're on a tight schedule now.
Things a man must
But this
do
is
for
incredibly
himself.
exciting that we will be starting with a day 3 mission tomorrow. So hey, gotta drive away the Shibito Brian.
We're finishing Siren for today, right? So I can say
Yes.
it without jinxing us.
Correct.
That was so much less horrible than the last couple.
100%. Abso-fucking-lutely.
There were a couple of sticking points, but if we were only ever that bad, we wouldn't have been talking about quitting.
Right? Right?
We wouldn't have been talking about the dread when you think about playing Siren.
There is fear, but there's no anger or resentment even. It was just dread. There was only dread when it came to thinking about Siren, and that's not a great feeling to have when you want to play a video game. Hey, maybe you shouldn't dread launching your game. But it's fine. The dread has left. I'm not dreading it nearly as much. So hey, that's exciting. We're doing a thing, aren't we? Hold on. Not bread, dread. Oops, all dread. I'm not breading it. It's true. Okay, we have opened our wonderful little. Hey, I see 2 of my friends currently playing 20 minutes till dawn. Guess who it is? Trying to like size this properly. Okay, I've already forgotten what I'm supposed to be drawing here. And there it is. Llama promotion, dinking your oiter. Okay, I can do that. Oh,
Guide
jeez.
says if you examine the EEG machine before you pick it up, he just says it's some sort of heavy medical device. And the guy's like, Shiro, are you actually a doctor?
No.
Are you a doctor or are
100%.
you a horrible murder man who's stolen a white coat?
He's a murder man who's stolen a white coat.
He might be a murder man who stole a white coat. I do like this arc for Shiro. We hated him so much before.
I still hate him, but I do appreciate the serial killer aspect that is starting to show up, even if it's just the two things. We love you, Cyril. Listen. What was that one the other day that you were freaking out about that I said? I don't remember. Hold on. No, those are too big. I say, and then make it even bigger. Trying to draw my llama eyes. That's okay. We don't need to remember. You like my llama?
Got a game theory. No, it's like, yo,
Yeah.
Shiro killed Mina before any zombie things were happening.
Oh,
He's just a murder
100%.
man. Yeah,
Yes,
he just does
yes.
murders on people. It's just a serial killer.
I don't think I'd, like, leapt that far in logic just yet, but that's not even a leap. That's literally just that's
You
an
look the
inch
same even
forward.
in death.
Yup. No, he's 100%. He's done it.
Also, weird how there's so many random corpses around the hospital. Was like the main thing I was thinking.
Yeah. I
So
just
many weird
assumed.
secret rooms that are locked, and then corpses in those secret rooms that are locked. Weird.
Yeah. That just feels so normal to me now. It was just like, yeah, that's fine. That's acceptable. Here's her little white spot. Her little white spot's actually a little bigger than that. Okay. I guess I could still color this in black, and we'll just change the outline for the ears to be like gray, right? Be like that. Same with her little mouth. Llama mouth. Okay, hold on. Why is there not a way to say, get rid of the stupid little white borders? You know what? It's fine.
Gotta go in there manually and
Want to.
paint around it.
Here's the thing. I don't wanna.
Okay.
Look at
It's
her.
not gonna work, Cash. You can't use the fill tool on that.
But what if I continue to try?
Remember, like, they added this weird white border, right? It used to just work.
They
just
used
the
to
fill
fill it
tool
in.
on the old version.
Probably.
I
Yeah.
remember playing with MS Paint in primary school. I could fill all
Right?
kinds of things.
There's so much
The
garbage.
fill tool worked too good. You always left a tiny gap somewhere, and it just turned everything the color you would use it.
True though. What if I do it like this? And then I need this bigger. I can't make it bigger. Okay, that's fine. Do it like this, and then I'll brush. Oh wait! Oh god! Oh god!
Oh yeah, because the paint tool leaves like tiny little bits of slightly different color, doesn't it? It's horrible. Cyril.
Who are you hating on? Cyril, am I gonna have an issue with you? We're gonna have a problem. There we go. And then I don't know what that's supposed to be. It's fine, I'm sure, actually.
You mad at video game? Is it the squid who you hit?
Bored. I understand.
Right, it's a high squid situation. Llama dink.
Where am I supposed to put this? Oh no! Think. Your boy.
Excited to see how this is gonna fit. Right, think you're right.
Boy. And then a little blap in there. There we go. Is this what you wanted, Cyril? I hope that I hope this is what you wanted. Let me save this very quick. Oiter dink. Oh, I need to date it. What is today's date? Today is the 9th.
It's the 10th actually.
Excuse you. I live in the past.
Because it's 2:51 a.m.
7, 9, 22. I need to print out all of the previous pictures that we've done recently, but there you go. Oh no, no one told me that it was covering up captions!
Sorry, I didn't realize I was looking at llama.
No, that's fair. There we go. Okay, now it'll never be in the way. I can do that, Emmy. I just hadn't gotten around there. It's fine. Okay,
The
there you go.
fucking deer is horrible, Cyril.
Deer is horrible. This is the correct response to deer. I'm gonna go ahead and post. Sorry, I just saw the pictures that Cyril posted in Nice Things. I like your little. I was about to call her a chalice, but I love her. I love Peaches. Oh my god. Yeah, Peaches is scooped in a palm. You got a scoop of Peaches. I forgot about the picture of Gummy Hunter kissing Sam that I made. Oh no! Why am I allowed to make these things? This is fine. There we go. It is posted in lay art for anyone who would like to have it. Let's go ahead and launch the Stain game and exit out of MS Paint. Give me 20 minutes? Where are you? Give me 20 minutes? Where'd you
Steam
go?
just said Kash was playing 20 minutes.
It's here, it's just not here. It's here but not here, you know? It's one of those situations.
Is this a new move you're devising for 20 minutes?
Maybe. Possibly.
We're showing off already.
Just kind of. There it is. No, you can say fuck you to me. It's fine. If you're gonna say fuck you to anybody, it would be Gucky for telling you to play this game, but by proxy, that is still a fuck you to me, and technically Fruity. Fruity's the one who turned me on to this game.
Yeah, it all leads back to me.
So, you know.
I was the mastermind behind everything. I was the one who programmed the deer.
It's true.
To be the worst ever.
Alright, let's do this. I could do endless mode. Could do new character.
I didn't know the new character. When did new character happen?
Like yesterday. She's
It's a freeze
Frost.
character.
Yeah.
I mean, she's busted. She's broken. I ain't even used it. She's definitely busted.
She's very good. You know what? No, here, Cyril, who do you want me to be? What kind of game do we want to play? Give me some specifics. I do love that it's all ladies. Lilith is my favorite. Thunder Lady, you want Spark? What gun? Give gun. Give gun. Which ones do I have? Oh, that's burning or frozen. I'll keep these as they are. Okay, we can Thunder Lady. Flame gun. Okay, maybe I do actually change my runes out.
So
As much as I love gas cannon. Gas cannon? Glass cannon!
Yeah, it's not really good with the flame cannon because your damage is just 0.
So we'll... Here are my runes. These are your permanent upgrades. These are the things that you can unlock after you do so many runs and get points. So we got power on so that my bullet damage and summon damage is +2 per rank, unless...
You can buy runes and you can buy characters and weapons. The characters and weapons are real cheap and you'll get them super fast. The runes are kind of expensive, but the permanent upgrades that apply to all your runs.
Yeah,
Only thing is you do have to pick one of each like block of 3. So you can only have 1 rank, 1+ for sword and 1 for shield.
It's very easy to miss them.
In the corner.
But they're very helpful and I would recommend you use them.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm happy with this. So, Spark with flame cannon, regular run, Darkness 8. Let's go.
Oof.
It's gonna be fine. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's gonna be great, actually.
This might be a really good character for flame cannon, actually, because if you can get the ones that give you ammo back, the biggest weakness of the flame cannon is that like you don't do a lot of damage before you have to reload and stop shooting. They're still taking damage as they're coming at you after that, but
they're not being knocked back while that's happening.
Yeah, it's not pushing them away.
They are octopode brain boys? I don't know what they are, but they're here. David, you would really like this game. Let me tell you.
Everyone buy this game.
Everyone buy this game. Let's go ahead and get the stupid upgrade that I don't really need.
How many tents does a normal brain have? Is this
Um,
more or less than usual?
I think this is a little more than normal.
Okay.
But just a little more. I think it's well within range of, like, average.
Okay.
So, you know, I'm sure it's fine. Let's go!
This could work.
Might have already gotten the upgrade that I needed. So endless mode is also really fun because you can stack upgrades. Like, you can get the same one multiple times. I tried one run last night. Cool. It didn't last very long because you don't get your runes or anything, and I was just kind of dicking around, but I did get Shatter 3 times. And it was very good. So, you know, and I was using Lilith with the bat gun, so when an enemy exploded, they just spawned into 9 bats.
Nice.
And that's great. Also, I mean,
just
why
a
would
whole
you...
flock of bats.
Yeah, it was very good. But also, I mean, why did you feed a person to Hikaru? Why would you do this?
Hikaru real mad about this, so...
Or did he eat a person because he was real mad?
I was gonna ask if they were all still alive. I didn't know if you were still playing that game. How are the chess people? The half chess people, half random words. People.
I love the crossbow.
Crossbow's so good. Cyril, the crossbow's so good.
Cyril, have you messed with Batgun yet? Because let me tell you, Batgun, best gun.
Batgun's always been the best gun, and the nerds complained about it, and then they buffed it, and now it's even more the best
And they
gun.
made it even better. Bullet damage, let's go. What? Cyril. Are you sure you're not just eating dairy? Consider.
Unbelievable. What do you even like? How do you please a Cyril? Oh, jeez. Okay.
Well, there you go. That's where the diarrhea is coming from. Don't blame it on Batgun. I want that. I also want to turn up the music because I feel like it's incredibly quiet.
Yeah, it's kind of quiet. Actually, it's kind of quiet on my end. I don't know. It's on the stream.
Is that better? That looks better. If that's too loud, then let me know. Because it will just become monotonous noises at some point. Just a droning as things explode. Yes, haste, please.
Flame cannon used to be just like the pistol that you start with, but it shot 3 damage fire bullets. So they've changed it to make it a bit more like a flamethrower, which was a good change. It's weird, and you do want to take very different upgrades than usual, because the damage is so low. Like, anything that relies on you having damage isn't going to do anything. And the damage upgrades aren't even really going to do much, because it's you're adding like 20% to 3.
I like taking the damage upgrades for it, especially once you start taking split shot and fusillade and stuff like that, because it does help mitigate some of the bad debuffs that those offer you. But it's definitely not something that you
and size with them, I guess. Which is
so
nice.
it's more just like you take it back to its base stats as opposed to making it particularly damaging, because it does end up just being you want to focus on the elemental side of it.
Yeah. It
off.
does. The damage over time will stack up on things. And it's normally actually surprisingly good against single large targets, against the bosses. It's against the regular enemies where it struggles, because you're trying to split your damage between so many of them, because you gotta keep them all away from you. You do want to do more element stuff, but...
Speaking of Frost Mage, let's go. Okay.
When you start playing with the flame cannon, it seems absolute garbage. It's better than it seems at first.
Don't like taking the hit to damage, but that is okay because big lightning.
In this situation, you're doing more damage, I'd say, after that.
Yeah. Run and gun. Let's go. Also, Cyril, if you wanna make crossbow better, try and get haste and run and gun with it, because then you can just run around while you're loading up.
Yeah.
Charging. That's the word I was looking for, but couldn't think of because I'm shooting things.
Don't worry too much about fully charging it.
It does so much damage anyway.
Yeah, it's gonna do like 200 damage to an enemy with like 20 health.
Right? Also, David, it's only like $3. You might as well purchase it, so I'm glad that you bought it. It's hella cheap. Let's go. It's so much fun. And it's not even the full release yet, and it's already so good.
Damn, they're sneaking in characters I don't even know about. It's great.
It's because we've been focusing on Vampire Survivors lately. Sometimes you need to take a break from one chaos game to play another one, and then you come back to the other one. Well, thanks for stopping in, Arcade. It's always a delight to see you. Also,
Yeah.
I heard that you finished. I meant to mention it earlier and then I forgot. Here for Sweethearts is all done now, isn't it? You fully released it? Because if that's the case, I'm gonna be checking it out this weekend on my own time. Because, you know, that's for me. That's a sweet treat for me. But that's super exciting. Congrats on finishing it! Get some good sleep. We love you, friend.
Bye, kid.
Also, if people here haven't, always gonna shout out my buddies, but go check out Arcade Kittens games. Cemetery Mary is on Steam for free, and you can purchase the art book for like, no, I don't even know how much, like under $5. And most of their other stuff is on itch. Fuck.
Jeez.
Too busy shouting at my friend. You know what? That's worth it. I'm gonna try one more.
Piece of shit deer claims another victim. Not even the deer, the enemy's near the deer. Horrible.
Okay.
Hey, this game's quite hard.
Game is great, actually.
It's very good.
It's
also
very
quite hard.
It is a bit difficult at times. I lost my focus though, because I was too busy talking about my cool friend, Arcade Kitten.
It's better than Vampire Survivors, but
also
if I
Vampire
play
Survivors.
Vampire Survivors, I can win every time.
Yeah!
I don't even have to pay that much attention.
Again, I very much stand by the fact that Vampire Survivors is mindless. You can just go in, choose a bunch of stuff, and watch all the pretty colors on the screen, and it's very nice. 20 minutes is, you want something simplistic and familiar, but you want to be slightly more engaged, because you have to do the shooting. You have to tell the game where you want to go, what you want to aim at.
Yeah, even like the movement and stuff is so much more involved. Because you gotta manage your two different speeds when you're shooting and when you're not.
Woo! Sorry.
And the hitboxes in this are like real good, so you can normally just squeak through little gaps between enemies. Unless you pick up that upgrade that makes you big, in which case you can no longer dodge. Don't worry about it.
I think they did work on the hitbox just a little bit. Emmy, do it! It's so good!
Very good, Emma.
Good.
Crossbow's
Yeah, no!
very good.
Crossbow is dope.
It just makes such high numbers without like any upgrades or anything. The numbers are just so big.
It does get a little harder towards the end of your run.
I think crossbow kind of struggles in like the last 5 minutes, but
I think crossbow is specifically a summon focus build.
Yeah.
Like, whereas like the dual SMGs and the fire fire gun
SMGs is elements, fire guns elements,
all the way,
yeah.
all the way. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, you don't have to worry about the downside of the crossbow, Cyril. It's just the best weapon. Don't worry about it.
You got this though, friend. Nah, this game is just so dang good. Like I said, this isn't even like the final version. It's still in early access, and they've already done so much for it.
Yeah.
So good.
While we've been playing it, they've like really overhauled a lot of the weapons and made them so much better. The crossbow also used to just be like the pistol.
Mm-hmm.
But you just had one bullet per clip, and if you were standing still, it did a bit more damage.
I was gonna say, I think there's been like 3 major updates since I purchased it. And it's just very exciting. They love this game, and I love this game, and I love that they love this game.
Also, Glare used to do 5 damage instead of 25.
Right. There are a lot of
Fire and
fun.
crossbow. Now you're thinking.
Again, consider Splinter with crossbow as well. Consider. Think about it. Let's start working on all this elemental nonsense. Let's go. That was explodey sounds. Things were happening over there.
Do be shattering over there.
Give me that fusillade, let's go! Okay, okay.
Cyril gaming too hard and closed the window.
Oh no! Cyril! Yeah. More ammo, faster reload rate. Let's go. If I could just be a stream of fire, that'd be cool.
We did need reload rate. But it made me think, with the fire gun, like anything that's like set damage is real handy, like lightning and the fireball. Real handy stuff. Doesn't have to contend with your very, very low base damage.
Right? Oh, this is fine. This is fine. Haste, please.
Whereas, like, unfortunately, the magic dagger and scythe and things it's just impossible to get them going.
It's tragic.
Only
I
really
love
worth getting if you fully transition into like a dragon run. That's really good for this character.
Let's go!
Like,
I will be
everything was
unstoppable.
even more fire than it already is.
What if extra fire? What if my fire had fire in it? Lightning. Let's go. I have no idea what's going on with chat, so I am.
And he's hugging David.
Yeah, alright, yeah, alright.
David's hugging Emmy. And Cyril is playing your exact run on her game.
It's very good. Just gotta stack up that elemental nonsense.
Cyril's hugging Mai. Emmy's hugging Cyril.
So there's just hugs going on.
It's just hug time.
Aww. Aww.
I love all you goofers. Y'all are cute.
Intense burn. Hey, our friends? Kinda cool. Kinda sweet. Kinda precious.
Yeah.
Kinda some cool folks around here. Get away from me. Sometimes you just have to burn a bunch of
the
squid.
squid, not the friends, right?
Yes, correct. Sorry. The squid just got very close and I panicked. Ah, it's too far!
The burn damage is 3 per second, and that is like very. It's nothing, right? It's tiny. It does stack up though. You hit 2 of them on someone, it's doing 6 per second.
Okay, I got the health back that I just lost. Great! Fuck!
At least you getting hit by the regular guys and not the boss.
Yeah. There's another heart over there. Great, he's dead.
Nice.
Fuck you, squids. Give me that elemental damage. No. Bullet size is kind of nice, though.
I don't know if bounce. I don't know how that works on the flame cannon because I think
don't think it
piercing,
does.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I it's already got, like, unlimited piercing. It's just the fact that it can't go very far.
Yeah.
I don't think it's worth it. Even for double bullet size.
I know, it's just you don't want to give up the health. If you want
Yeah.
for the health, then
Yeah.
the double bullet size would definitely be worth it.
That's fine. We're doing great as is.
It's
You
just
don't
that we're
need
not
any-
really getting much from the damage.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fine. We'll just get better things.
Your lightning does make fire, so soothing warmth has a lot of opportunities to do a thing. Take aim does make your bullets go further though.
Yeah. We are
Anything that says bullet speed, read that as range as well.
I want to do soothing warmth, but I'm gonna wait on that.
It's such a low chance. Like sometimes it's crazy good, and sometimes it's just
Mhm.
awful. Well, generally it just never triggers.
Right? No, it's definitely something that I like want to get, but prioritizing
Yeah.
other things at the moment because I can manage what we've got coming at us.
And you're full health now.
Yeah. So I'm not too pressed for it. But it will be very useful once the screen is all squid. Hey, can you give me my lightning stuff back, game?
Can reroll.
Nope.
That's
am
just for
considering-
Shanna.
Considering Magic Lens. As a sweet treat, you know?
I like Magic Lens.
I love Magic Lens. Also, Magic Dagger! Very good! Need everybody to know. That summons. Very good. Don't sleep on Ghost Friend. Ghost Friend, very good.
Everyone sleeps on Ghost Friend. It's a big mistake.
Don't be a fool.
See that his damage is kind of low. They don't see that all of his upgrades and Ghost Friend's damage and speed. They are summon damage and speed.
That's what I wanted. Let's go.
Energize pretty good. Yeah, there's a lot of lightning going on. Is the thing.
What if I just never stop shooting? I have to, though, because things are getting a little too close.
Other
also
than that,
But also consider.
even
No.
then you get your fanfire.
Right?
It's a little spooky.
This is a bit of a problem. Mm. Okay, you know what? It's fine. I just need one more level and I should be able to get my other heal. Ah! Fuck! Okay. That's fine. That's
Just
fine.
need one more level and then I'll get the other heal. It was very
Yeah?
good.
Yeah? Yeah? Everything got too close!
It did.
That's fine. That's fine.
There we go.
There's our cooldown game, though. We've done it. It's happened. 20 minutes till dawn. Very good. Everyone should play it. It's very good.
Very good.
It's very cheap. Very good.
Let's close the new character now.
Do it. You gonna do it
God,
now? You gonna do it right now?
I'll give it a minute.
But yeah, that's the stream today. It's a little shorter than normal, but that's because we had to start at a weird time. But that's fine. Tomorrow we'll do 5 Central as per usual, and do our typical 4 hours potentially, depending on how much more Siren there is. I think that we will finish it next weekend. I don't think we're finishing it this weekend, but there's always a chance. There's always a chance, but
And on to day 3 though, and
yeah,
most of the characters are dead.
yeah. But yeah, thanks everyone for being here, being lovely and wonderful, and just being cool friends. Let's see what we have on. Does anybody have any suggestions for people to raid? I have no idea who's on right now. Look, Cyril, if you want to hang out in Discord, play some more 20 minutes. Alright? I gotta grab food real quick, but like, I'm down for it. Also, we were talking about movie for tomorrow, for Horror Fest. Lighthouse, or what was the other one? Seven, because Seven's on Netflix.
Sevenin.
Seven.
It's a Sevenin.
I mean, I'll watch Tusk with you any day, Cyril. I know everyone hates Tusk, and I love it because it's so dumb and so bad.
I've never seen Tusk.
Oh my god, you will hate it.
Perfect.
Oh. Hey, do we want to watch Tusk tomorrow? Let me
Oh no.
before I commit to this. Is it available on Netflix?
Found on the wall.
Shh. Netflix. Shush. Shush. It is not on Netflix anymore. Okay, well then we're not watching it.
Oh,
Won't watch it tomorrow.
Horrible.
Then. Yeah, I guess we'll
We'll do Sevenin and save the Lighthouse for when Emmys are in?
yeah.
Sorry.
Wait.
It's your decision. You're the
No,
captain.
that's-
I'm just...
That is fine, but also, is it just that you're not available to watch tomorrow, or is it that you just don't want to watch Tusk? Yeah, I mean, listen, I will watch Tusk with you. It's a ridiculous movie, and I'm here to watch it because it's stupid. Okay. Well, let me know when you want to watch Tusk, and we can watch Tusk, even if it's not for a Saturday thing or a Sunday horror fest thing. We're gonna raid Nimbly. I've decided.
When are we gonna watch Cats?
Never.
When's Cats?
Never. I can't do that to
You'll
myself.
love it.
No.
Cyril,
I
we're
won't.
gonna watch Cats with Cash. It's gonna be great. The horrible one. With all the horrible monster cats. And the unreleased butthole cut.
I was gonna say, as soon as they release the butthole cut, I will watch the new Cats. But the fact that it's got Rebel Wilson and what's his fucking name?
James Corden.
James Corden.
And they're real bad.
Yeah, the fact that both of them are in
Yeah.
it, I
Both-
cannot.
Together on the same screen. How did they even do it?
It's too much. I can't do it. I can't do it.
How did you put Rebel Wilson and James Corden in the same room and not realize, oh no, I've done a mistake?
Mistakes were made and it's just bad.
Yeah.
Alright, we're gonna raid Nimbly because we adore Nimbly. It looks like they're doing a cozy co-working, which is cute. But it's a nice chill out sort of thing to do post all of the nonsense that we've been doing. So yeah, we'll see everyone later. I love y'all. And
Bye,
have a great night. Bye.